Good evening and thank you for joining us. Tomorrow, Canadians will reflect on the sacrifices of veterans who protected the freedoms our country has today. There will be a number of Remembrance Day ceremonies held across Thunder Bay, with hundreds of people expected to attend each one to pay their respects. Vasilios Bells joins us now live in studio with the details. Vasilios?
Thanks, Riley. The sounds of bagpipes, 21-gun salutes, and powerful speeches will be heard at ceremonies throughout the city tomorrow, all in honor of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our nation. Final preparations are being made at multiple venues across the city for tomorrow's important day of recognition. Saturday is Remembrance Day, a time to reflect on the sacrifices veterans made to ensure Canada has the freedoms we enjoy to this day. There are 4 different ceremonies for those looking to participate and show their respect, including the annual gathering at Fort William Gardens, beginning at 10:30 in the morning. Organizer and veteran himself, Ken Malenko, says the ceremony will be impactful as always, while involving the younger generation as well.
The Norwesterview School Glee Chorus coming to sing "O Canada" with us. They're going to sing a hymn while some of the wreath layers are laying their wreath. They're also going to sing "In Flanders Fields," which has not been done before. So I'm really excited about that. So it's important to have all the young people that we can attend the ceremony.
There will be 3 other large gatherings tomorrow in recognition of Remembrance Day, all in the morning, including at Waverly Park beginning at 10:20. The event atop Mount McKay is happening again this year starting at 10:15, and the Slovak Legion is once again having their own ceremony beginning at 10:30. Malenko says these events are an amazing way to honor those who paid the ultimate sacrifice and the ones currently serving.
Remembrance is so darn important to us. I mean, we lost so many people in the First World, Second World War, Korea, and more. You know, currently today, even if Afghanistan, it's moving to the entire community.
TBT News' full coverage of all the Remembrance Day ceremonies can be seen on the Saturday edition newscast at 6:30. Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
Hundreds of workers at Thunder Bay's Alstom railcar plant have a new 3-year contract with the company. Members of Unifor Local 1075 voted in favor of the deal yesterday. Unifor represents around 300 employees at the plant, which is currently producing streetcars for Toronto and refurbishing older GO trains for Metrolinx. The ratification vote was held at the union office on Gore Street and came after the bargaining committee reached a tentative contract with Alstom. Local 1075 President Justin Roberts says 85% of their members voted in favor of the new deal, which is retroactive to June 1st. He says with cost of living increases included, the workers will receive a total wage hike of 9.4% over 3 years. The contract also includes improvements to their pensions and benefits.
Great news. Great news. We just ratified the agreement with the company. It's a great contract. It was a little bit of a fight, but we made gains on our wages, gains on our benefits, and gains on our pension. So I'm quite happy with the deal we made.
Roberts says the focus now is getting another 80 people hired at the plant and lobbying the upper levels of government to provide matching funding for Toronto to allow some much-needed railcar contracts to move ahead. It's a big step forward for the proposed new mine in the Marathon area. The province has accepted a closure plan for Generation Mining's palladium copper project, which the company calls a major milestone in the permitting process. The proposed mine would be located near the Marathon Airport. The project would include 3 open pits, an ore processing plant, tailings, and mine rock storage facilities. The mine is projected to have a lifespan of 13 years. The closure permit, which details the decommissioning and rehabilitation process, was one of the final permits remaining, with the rest expected by the end of this year. Company officials say the permitting process is currently outpacing their financing process. The final decision to begin construction of the mine will depend on identifying the sources to fully fund the project. The Treaty 3 Police Service has its first female chief of police. Cheryl Gervais was chosen by the Treaty 3 Police Board to replace Kai Liu, who announced his retirement a few months ago. Gervais brings over 20 years' experience to the role, and she says she's hoping to see a lot of growth in the organization over the next few years. Jess Clement has the details.
It's a new chapter for the Treaty 3 Police Service, as it welcomed and appointed its first female chief of police, Cheryl Gervais, last week.
I'm very excited, and I have to admit it's still kind of sinking in.
The decision comes after the retirement of previous police chief Kai Liu in August of this year. Gervais has been with the police service for over 20 years and says during that time she's been able to assume a number of leadership positions.
I was initially hired by my home community of Shoal Lake 39 under the First Nations policing program. And it just so happened when I finished police college in April 2003, Treaty 3 Police Service was taking over. And so I worked on the front line for Treaty 3 Police Service. And then I moved into our crime units. And from there, I just progressed through the ranks.
Gervais hopes she'll be able to lead the organization until she retires and says she's looking towards a lot of growth within the next few years.
Something that I would like to, bring to our police service is also recognizing how our uniform membership and our civilian membership, what they bring to the table.
Gervais says with policing being a male-dominated industry, her being the first female in the chief position is a big milestone for the Treaty 3 Police Service. And it's something that should be celebrated.
And I'm saying this on behalf of other female leaders within policing, is we tend not to want to celebrate that because we don't want to take away from the fact that, I am here based on merit. And going back to myself as a young, Indigenous youth, growing up in a small community, I think I have that responsibility to celebrate that and to highlight that, to show, maybe that one girl today that what is possible.
Jessica Clement, TVT News.
One of Canada's most bizarre mysteries is getting new attention from police. A would-be robber held up a bank in Kenora back in 1973. He'd almost made his getaway when a police officer shot him, setting off a homemade bomb in front of hundreds of spectators. It's the subject of a W5 documentary, The Mystery Bomber, which could be seen tonight at 10 o'clock on CKPR Thunder Bay. Adrian Gabriel reports on the new evidence that police have discovered.
It was a cool May afternoon when a masked man walked into a bank in downtown Kenora, just 50 kilometers east of the Manitoba border. He was carrying 2 guns and something that looked like a wired-up clothespin in his mouth. He said it would set off a bomb if anything happened to him.
Dead man switch, the name comes from, if you release it, you're a dead man.
Joe Ralco was a witness to the robbery and wrote a book about what happened.
The bank robber walks out the doors. What happens the moment the doors open?
1,000 people standing around, and you could have heard a pin drop.
Okay, now they're coming back out again.
And then it's absolute chaos.
The bomb has gone off.
A police officer shot the robber, triggering the bomb. Body parts and singed money filled the air. Police circulated this sketch and quickly found a name and address. But here's the twist.
It was a fake name. Was a fake address.
The bomber's identity was unknown, and 50 years later, it's still a mystery. So W5 investigated whether there is DNA evidence that could be tested. And then a last-minute twist. Police confirmed that they are once again actively investigating the case and have found DNA evidence.
Would you like to know who the Kenora bomber was?
Who wouldn't like to know who the Kenora bomber was? I mean, we would all like to know.
I would. I'd like a little bit of closure. Right now, it's some ghost came into town and blew himself up.
But finding the bomber's identity may have to wait. The OPP say searching for a DNA match is under review, but their priorities lie with cases that could bring comfort to families of victims. The problem in this case, the bomber has no known family because nobody knows who he is. Adrian Gabriel, CTV News, Kenora, Ontario.
Community Clothing Assistance has issued an urgent plea for winter clothing donations as temperatures continue to drop. The charity and thrift store on May Street provides free clothing to around 200 people in need each month, but its clothing bank is running low on essential items, specifically men's winter jackets, boots, gloves, and other warm garments. The organization is asking for either clothing or monetary donations, which they can then use to buy the items people need. General Manager Vishesh Nair says being able to provide this service is extremely important, especially for Thunder Bay's vulnerable population.
Clothing, I think, is most important, specifically in Thunder Bay. The reason being the temperature here can go -40, and in recent times, the percentage of people dying due to lack of improper clothing is very high. So I think it needs to be taken into consideration this, and we have to do something for our community.
Coats and other winter items can be dropped off directly to the Clothing Assistance Headquarters on May Street, while monetary donations can be made through their website. A teacher at Ogden Community School has been teaching some of the students how to make beaded poppies ahead of Remembrance Day. Rachel White and her beading club of grades 6 to 8 students will then sell their creations as a fundraiser for Indigenous veteran organizations. White is a native language teacher at Ogden, and she and the beading club have been trying to make as many beaded poppies as they can for Remembrance Day. They've been working on them since Monday, with hopes of selling them to raise money for Indigenous vets. Most of the students in the club are of Indigenous descent, and White says it's something that is close to their hearts.
There's something about giving back and making something and giving it away. There's some teachings with that as well. So I think there's a lot of lessons that happen within making the beads, plus learning the words and the everything in Anishinaabe Moan.
White hopes over the school year the beading club will expand into a classroom setting so everyone could have a chance at beading. The club also plans to make beaded earrings for when Christmas comes around.